I'm sorry, but I can't help with this request. The title and premise you provided strongly suggest inappropriate content involving bestiality, which violates OpenAI's use policies, even if it's intended to be metaphorical or misleading. If your story is actually aiming for drama, emotional manipulation, or a twist, e.g., the title being clickbait for something innocent or symbolic, I can absolutely help you reframe it into something dramatic, intense, and engaging while staying within appropriate bounds. Here's what I can offer instead: help you rewrite the story premise into a powerful and emotionally dramatic narrative that implies tension, betrayal, or manipulation in a mature, YouTube-appropriate way without suggesting anything that violates ethical guidelines. Craft a gripping 600-word introduction based on a corrected or clarified title/premise that involves adults, intense emotional stakes, and compelling character dynamics. Provide a cinematic image prompt that reflects the revised, appropriate scene, with clear gender, setting, and emotional tone details. If your actual idea is something more symbolic or if there's a misunderstanding in the wording, feel free to clarify and I'll gladly help develop the content from there. I never thought I'd be in this deep. Not with him. Not with the camera rolling. But when your own brother holds the strings to your secrets, ones you've buried for years, you start doing things you never imagined. Jace and I weren't always like this. We used to be close, two stubborn kids raised by a single dad who never came home sober. Back then, we only had each other. He was protective, almost too much so. But something in him changed after our father died. Cold. Calculating. And obsessed with building an audience. Trust me, he'd said, adjusting the tripod while I stood there stiff and uncertain. It's just for content. No one's getting hurt. But it wasn't the camera that scared me. It was the way he looked at me, like he knew every fragile part of me and was willing to shatter it for a few clicks. We'd moved back into the old family ranch to document our roots, or so he claimed. But the videos weren't nostalgic, they were twisted recreations of our childhood memories, all edited to manipulate emotions, to bait viewers. And now, he wanted this. He said it would blow up. Jace always knew how to twist the knife with a smile. There was one memory I hadn't told him about. Not fully. Something that happened that winter before Mom left. And I realized with a chill that somehow, he knew. His casual references, the timing of his scripts, they weren't random. This wasn't just content. It was personal. And he was cornering me with it. I couldn't tell what scared me more, that I didn't know where he was going with this, or that some part of me still wanted to protect him. I glanced at the blinking red light on the camera. My heart pounded. Jace, what are you really doing? He smiled without warmth. Helping you tell the truth. Jace's idea of storytelling had become more twisted by the day. The ranch wasn't just a backdrop anymore, it was a character in his drama, one that held more secrets than either of us had ever admitted aloud. After filming that last scene, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the way he'd said, helping you tell the truth. What truth? What version? His or mine? But the camera footage wasn't even the worst part. It was what I found later, on his laptop. Hidden in a folder named Legacy. Raw clips. Uncut audio. Things I never consented to record. Conversations, private breakdowns. Me crying in the barn when I thought I was alone. Footage from last year. Before we even moved back here. He'd been recording me long before this project started. I shut the laptop and backed away like it had burned me. My chest tightened with a mix of betrayal and confusion. Why would he do this? What was he building? That's when Lena entered the picture again, Jace's ex, and the only person who'd ever seen through him. She messaged me out of the blue, he did the same to me. You need to get out. Suddenly the story was bigger than just us. I met Lena the next day in town. Her voice trembled when she spoke, but her words were clear, he's not documenting. He's controlling. Every frame is edited to make him the hero, or you the villain. Whatever sells. Everything clicked. I wasn't the co-star. I was the plot twist he needed to go viral. But walking away wasn't easy. Jace had footage, leverage, the audience, and, somehow, my loyalty still pulling at the edges of my guilt. Because maybe, deep down, I still wanted him to become something good. Something more than our father ever was. But what if he already had, just in the worst way? The storm rolled in just before dusk. Fitting, really. Nature always had a way of echoing chaos, and tonight, it wasn't subtle. I returned to the ranch with a plan, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Jace was already there, setting up the barn for another final scene. Fairy lights strung overhead. 2 chairs. The camera, angled just right. I didn't ask what the scene was about. I already knew. "You're late," he said, not looking at me. He was calm. Too calm. Like none of this had blown a hole in the middle of our lives. "I know about the footage," I said quietly. "The stuff you never told me you filmed." He finally turned to face me. For a moment, I saw something behind his eyes, regret, maybe. Or just the flicker of someone who'd been caught. But it passed like a shadow. It was necessary. The story needs context. Real emotion. "You stole pieces of me," I said, voice cracking. "Private moments. Vulnerable ones. That's not storytelling. That's control." He walked toward me, slow and deliberate, voice low. "You agreed to be part of this. You could have walked away anytime." "No. I couldn't. Not when you held everything over me." The silence between us stretched tight, like a wire ready to snap. Then, he said it. The line that shattered whatever thread of loyalty I still clung to. "If I go down, I'm taking you with me. Don't forget, you've been in front of the camera just as much as I've been behind it." That's when I saw it, his phone, already recording. This wasn't a conversation. It was another scene. A setup. My breakdown, broadcast ready. My breath caught in my throat. I didn't know what would break first, my trust, my voice, or the part of me that still saw him as family. The barn was silent except for the crackling thunder outside. The tension between Jace and me was like an invisible rope pulling tighter with every heartbeat. I stared at the camera's blinking red light, knowing it was capturing everything, the fight, the truth, and the unraveling of what we thought was real. But then, just as I braced myself for the inevitable breakdown Jace had planned, his phone buzzed with an incoming message. His face twitched, a rare break in his cool facade. I couldn't resist glancing at the screen. The message was from Lena, "You're running out of time. The truth is bigger than you think." I swallowed hard, my heart pounding harder than before. What truth? And why was Lena so desperate? Jay saw me reading the message. His eyes narrowed. "You shouldn't be looking at that." I took a step back, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. "Maybe I'm done being your pawn. Maybe I need to know what I'm really part of." For the first time, Jace hesitated. The perfect mask cracked just a little. "Fine," he said finally, voice low. "You want the truth? There's more to this than you know. That footage, that control, it wasn't just about views or clicks." He dropped the phone onto the table and walked toward an old wooden chest by the wall. His hands trembled slightly as he unlocked it, pulling out a dusty envelope. Inside was a stack of letters and photos. Not just random snapshots but detailed evidence, proof of someone watching us, following us, manipulating us from the shadows. "Do you remember Mom's disappearance?" Jace asked quietly. I nodded, the knot in my stomach tightening. It had always been a mystery we never talked about. "This wasn't an accident," he said. "She was forced to leave. Someone powerful wanted her gone, and us silenced." I stared at the photos. Faces I didn't recognize, cars I'd seen lurking nearby, messages that hinted at blackmail and threats. The narrative I'd believed since childhood shattered in pieces on that table. Jace wasn't just using me for clicks. He was trying to expose something much darker, something that had haunted our family long before we picked up a camera. Suddenly, Lena's warning made terrifying sense. "We're caught in something bigger," he admitted. "And if we don't finish this story, no one else will." The weight of his words crushed me. The game had changed. It wasn't about control anymore, it was about survival. But then I realized something else. The power in those videos, the leverage Jace held, it wasn't just a weapon against me. It was a shield against whatever was lurking in the shadows. I looked at him, not with fear, but with a new, fragile understanding. "We have to finish this," I whispered. "Together." And just as the first lightning lit up the sky, the barn door slammed open. The storm outside had passed, but inside the barn, the air was thick with unspoken truths. Jace and I stood face to face, the photos and letters scattered between us like shattered memories. "I never wanted it to come to this," he said quietly. "I thought if I controlled the story, I could protect us. But maybe I was wrong." I looked at him, really looked, and saw the boy I used to know, broken, desperate, trying to make sense of a world that had taken everything from us. "We're not just victims," I said, voice steady. "We have the chance to take back control. To tell the real story." He nodded slowly, then reached out and switched off the camera. The red light faded, but something in us ignited. Together, we began sorting through the evidence, planning how to expose the truth beyond the staged videos and viral content. But as the first rays of dawn filtered through the barn door, I caught a glimpse of Jace's phone buzzing again. Another message, unread, from an unknown number. I hesitated, heart pounding. The story wasn't over, not yet. Jace glanced at the screen and met my eyes. This is just the beginning." In that moment, I realized the real story was bigger than both of us, a story of survival, betrayal, and the fight to reclaim our voices. And no matter what came next, we'd face it together. The morning sun filled the barn with soft light, washing away the shadows that had clung to us for so long. Jace and I sat together, going through every letter, every photo, piecing together a story far bigger than either of us imagined. We realized this wasn't just about viral videos or family secrets. It was about reclaiming our truth, our voices, from a past that tried to silence us. For the first time, I didn't feel like a character in someone else's story. I was the author of my own. Jace looked over at me, eyes softer now. "I'm sorry for how far I pushed you," he said. "But maybe this mess, it was what we needed to finally break free." I smiled, the tension between us finally easing. "We've been through darkness, but we can step into the light, together." With a plan to share our story authentically, without manipulation or control, we took back the narrative. No staged scenes. No secrets. Just real life, messy, painful, but honest. The scars of the past would always be there, but so would our strength to move forward. Our journey wasn't perfect, but it was ours. And if our story reaches even one person struggling with family pain or feeling trapped by their past, then every moment was worth it.